forgot to show them off. See, there it is.
Oh, yeah. So that's the Kickstarter that's running right now, everybody. All right.
It's a pretty healthy dice bag. So.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Throw away the Crown Royale bag. We need one of those. Hello and welcome to Every Edition, your tabletop RPG talk show. I'm Jesse.
I'm John.
And today we have a very special announcement, our very first sponsor, which we will talk about a little bit later on in the episode. But for now, we're going to talk about later on our Loot the Body, as we're going to talk about Dark Places and Demogorgons, a very Stranger Things type game.
And our random encounter, we're going to be talking to Justin from Severed Books.
Yes, we have an interview again.
Excellent.
I'm excited. I love being able to talk with the people who are creating the games that we're enjoying, because they're filling me with a bunch of entertainment. And
Absolutely.
So, and of course, we have our morale check where we take a look at all the news going on in the world for RPGs and tabletop games. But first, John, what's new?
Well, so I am back from Origins 2022 and got lots to talk about. Hoping we can do a future episode and kind of talk about some of the things that I learned, but just a great experience. Can't wait to go back. Can't wait to bring more people, yourself included.
I unfortunately couldn't attend, but I'm hoping to next year.
Next time, definitely. And it got me started to think about and get excited about maybe going to PAX Unplugged coming up in December, and that kind of stuff. So I got the convention, itch. Like, it was so much fun. Can't wait to share some of my thoughts with all of you. Jesse, what's new with you?
Well, so the newest Magic the Gathering set has released.
Yes.
The Baldur's Gate Magic the Gathering, so
cool.
D&D crossover. I sort of predicted last year that every year we would have some D&D Magic crossover, and I'm hoping that continues, as this is 2022's D&D Magic crossover. The art and the lore is fantastic. As with the first set, the Forgotten Realms set, I'm going to be using a lot of these cards and scenarios with some of my players that may visit Baldur's Gate or somewhere around it, to give them better visuals, because I find that helps, especially when you consider Baldur's Gate itself is like a pretty compacted city, and being able to show them exactly what's going on is always helpful. So I'm looking forward to trying to get as many of these cards as I can, but Magic the Gathering's pretty expensive right now. So
Yeah, I actually made the decision I'm not gonna collect Baldur's Gate Magic.
Sure.
And it is budgetary reasons. Like, something's got to give.
Yep.
With the way things are going right now, and so that was a little bit easier for me to stop, because it's not directly tabletop role playing related. So I said, nope, sorry, Baldur's Gate. And my kids don't seem as interested in Magic, so that also helps.
Sure.
But keep me posted. I'm still curious, and I can't help but kind of like, oh, what's going on over there?
Oh, I'm sure I'll continue as the episodes continue forward. I'll be sharing all interesting Magic news, including the Lord of the Rings stuff that may happen later this year or next year.
Oh, that'll bring me back.
Warhammer and all that. So there's a bunch of new Magic news that'll be awesome to talk about in the future.
Great.
It's time for a morale check. Our morale checks are where we take a look at RPG news of the week and all the goings on in our industry. First off, some bit of news from World Anvil. They just released an article that had 25 plus one-shots that were a majority setting agnostic.
Okay.
That you could run in whatever game, whatever setting you want, on their website for free.
Great.
I have a link to the article. I'll put it down in the description below if you're on YouTube. It's fantastic. It's 25 games for, they're setting agnostic, but they lend themselves well to Pathfinder, D&D, Call of Cthulhu, some of these like sort of staple games.
Great.
They're meant to be one-shots. There's even some games that are designed, or some one-shots that are designed for solo play. So if you maybe want to try out a specific type of game
Yeah.
and you don't have anybody to play with, here's a one shot for you. And it's this huge, awesome free article that they put out that I devoured, and I can't wait to try some of them.
That's great. Well, with this economy, free is the right price.
Yeah. We were just talking about budgets and things like 25 plus free stuff is kind of what we need.
That's great. Well, we'll get that out on our socials too. We'll put it up on Facebook and send it out on Twitter too.
Sure.
I want to take a look. That sounds good. In other news, Bloat Games is coming out with Overworld 3, which is a zine with monsters in it that are very similar to The Legend of Zelda.
This looks awesome.
Inspired by The Legend of Zelda, right? So as suggested, this is Overworld 3, so this is going to be the third Legend of Zelda inspired zine, and the third time that Bloat Games is doing this. But they've also done a Castlevania inspired zine, and they've also done actually a Mario inspired zine called Pipe World. It seems like they are monster manuals basically for both 5th edition and for Survive This, which is their own OSR role-playing system. Now, Bloat Games is going to come up again in this episode because they are the makers of Dark Places and Demogorgons, and that's going to be our Loot the Body segment today. So I'm new to Bloat Games, but stuff seems cool.
Yeah.
So if you're a retro gamer, you like Zelda, you like Mario, you like Castlevania, check out Bloat Games. And right now, Overworld 3 is the Zelda-inspired zine on Kickstarter.
Coming up soon, June 25th is Free RPG Day. Check with your local comic shop, your local hobby shop. They may be hosting this. There's going to be a bunch of free stuff from a bunch of awesome publishers like Paizo, Ninth Level Games, Modipius, Goodman Games, a bunch of other stuff that hasn't been announced yet. There's a couple of shops near us that will be hosting it, and I'm definitely going to at least maybe make you go in with like a hat and a mask or a mustache and pretend to be two different people so you can get me one too. But we'll probably in a future episode talk about all the goodies that we got from Free RPG Day.
Yeah, I'll try to collect as many as I can on Saturday, and I think probably you're usually limited, so I'm gonna definitely prioritize the Goodman Games stuff because their free RPG releases are essentially the equivalent of their regular module releases.
Yeah.
So they're not they're not shortchanging or anything like that. It's basically like getting a legitimate adventure module for free. So I'm all about that.
More free stuff.
Let's go again. The price is right. So yeah, I'm gonna hit the Complete Strategist.
Nice.
In King of Prussia, which is my go-to store right now. And finally, Fighter Guy Studios has their Brains and Brawn super simple TTRPG system. This is a genre and setting agnostic system that uses D10s, and in keeping with our theme here, it is free.
Nice.
So you can find Brains and Brawn from Fighter Guy Studios. You can find it on DriveThruRPG, and you can find it on itch.io, free on both sites.
Nice.
It's a solid toolkit, really, for playing whatever kind of game you want to play. Very rules light. It just uses D10s, like I said, and you're really only going to use either 1, 2, or 3 D10s.
Sure.
So that's all you need to play. They also have some expansions, which are only 4 pages long. And they do have sort of genre-specific content. So they've got a Roamers and Revenants, which is a zombie-themed expansion. That is also free. They have Valiants and Vigilantes, which is their superhero expansion. Horrors and Heretics, which is their sort of Cthulhu-inspired expansion. And then coming soon, it hasn't released yet, but they're coming out with sort of a dinosaur caveman prehistoric setting called Sticks and Stones. The great thing about their expansions is they're 4 pages long and they're only $2.
Okay.
So you get the core rules for free. You can even get one of the expansions for free. And then if you fall in love with the Brains and Brawn super simple TTRP system, then it's only $2 to continue the fun. There you go.
That's the right price.
So check out Fighter Guy Studios, Brains and Brawn super simple TTRP system, available on DriveThruRPG and itch.io. All right, so special thanks to Fighter Guy Studios for being a sponsor of this episode of Every Edition. And
Our very first sponsor.
Our very first sponsor. So thank you very much, Fighter Guy Studios. We're going to put a link to find Brains and Brawn, the super simple TTRP system, down in the comments below. And we'll also make sure it's out on our Facebook and our Twitter so it's easy to find. Price is right. And thanks again, Fighter Guy Studios, for being a sponsor of this episode.
Do you want your game or tabletop RPG project featured on Every Edition in some capacity? It could be in front of us on our Loot the Body section or within our morale check as we talk about things and dive into them. Let us know. Get in touch. We have our email at everyeditionrpg@gmail.com. You can also find all of our socials at everyeditionrpg.com.
All right, it's time for a random encounter. Today's random encounter, we are talking to Justin Sirois from Severed Books. Hello, Justin.
Hello, Justin.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. We had an opportunity to meet at Origins 2022, which was fantastic. And I wanted to have you on the show as soon as possible. So I understand this is the 10th anniversary for Severed Books, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 10 years, man. I started this thing publishing fiction.
Okay.
For 4 years. And that's really my first passion and background. I'm going to say poetry and then fiction.
Okay.
But yeah, for 4 years, I wrote a bunch of novels and got into gaming, and the gaming thing completely took over the prose, just stomped it into the ground. So that's the short of it.
Yeah. Well, and you've got a Kickstarter that's rocking right now, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So the one that we just launched yesterday, it's our 30th, which is kind of hard to admit.
That's a lot of Kickstarters.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. It is for the 30th one. I want to do something a little off-brand and really funny and fun. So it's literally a multi-pocket dice bag that looks like a mimic because the drawstrings, the plastic. What do you even call those? The clamps?
Yeah, plastic clamps.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the plastic clamps. They look like eyeballs. And I'll tell you, like I had previously made this dice bag without eyes, and I was just kind of in my basement here, tooting around, and just trying to think of the next thing to do, and literally just like playing like a kid, like just sort of like knocking things over and like drinking my coffee and laughing. And I literally looked down at the dice bag and I was like, holy cow, like those could be eyeballs. And a week later, initially they were going to be googly eyes.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a vendor that could create googly eyes that were durable enough. They always cracked and squished.
Yep.
So I settled for stickers. So.
Did you ever think your writing career would bring you to googly eyes?
Absolutely
like
not.
Dice bag or children's books.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I'd be walking through Barnes and Noble dreaming about like a MacArthur Fellowship. So
That's right.
No longer.
Well, congratulations on the 10th anniversary 10-year anniversary for Severed Books and the 30th Kickstarter. That's unbelievable.
Insane.
You came on the map for me with the massive Gelatinous Cube, the very first Kickstarter for that. And I don't know how I found it or why or whatever, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's like, and I've got, a couple of them here for those of you watching on YouTube, right? They work as minis, right? So if you're going to fight a gelatinous cube, but they also are functioning D6s.
Yes.
Tell us about that journey or that idea. How did that come about?
Oh God. That was another one. I was just sort of like, well, I'll sort of back up because like, man, I am a true believer in This is sort of like Marshall McLuhan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that older 60s, 70s media guru guy, but he wrote this book called The Medium is the Massage, or The Medium is the Message. And for me, my journey has been about learning as much about manufacturing as I can. I want to be able to do everything, even if it's, you know, the sticker sheets that's coming with the Mimic thing.
Yeah,
cut out the middleman.
Like I know anyone can make a die cut sticker sheet, but it was about finding the right vendor at the right price point, and that took a while.
Yeah.
But expanding my palette so I can literally dream up something goofy and make it tomorrow.
Sure.
So the Gelatinous Cubes, I can't remember what I had just done. I think it was Sickest Witch, like a small card game, and I was making custom dice. And then I did the, I know I'm not supposed to swear, but the D20s.
Yeah.
I put those out. And then from there, like, I just, researching more vendors, I was like, I just asked my vendor, I was like, can you create a giant translucent cube? And she was like, oh yeah, we can do that. Let me send you a sample. She sent it to me. I was like, wow, like this is actually really pretty. Like, you know, the light, you know? And then the ideas just started spilling out, you know. I was like, oh gosh, like what else can I do? Well, you know, the pips can be skulls. Can it be a mini? So we went back and forth with scaling and stuff, like getting it to the right size. And I guess just long story short, I was just playing around with ideas, but also expanding my palette, my manufacturing palette.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool postmodern thing you can do now. Like, it's great. It's wild that, like, as an individual, you can do a bunch of research online and you can find vendors all over the world to create these products, and it's really not that difficult.
Yeah. And Kickstarter has obviously been a pretty big, awesome innovator for our industry, and a big help in getting things in front of people. Like this.
Yeah.
Like in one of my D&D groups, they use the die. And it was interesting to know that we were going to do this interview, and I was like, okay, yeah, I know where those come from.
Right, there you go. Just playing around with ideas, and I don't know where the skull pip thing came from. That was just sort of like, I think I was just messing around in Adobe Illustrator, just like pushing pixels around, you know, or vectors, and just it kind of clicked, you know. So a lot of it is just play, like visual play.
Sure.
Well, so another place where it seems like you've been playing recently is Caver, this giant fig, right? This giant miniature. What do you call a giant miniature? Because that's an oxymoron, right?
A maxiature?
A
maxiature? Whatever. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Caver, Justin, fill them in, because it's really awesome.
All right, well, can I go grab it? I should have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Staged my desk a little bit, but I got them right here. I got a painted version, and I have the regular non-painted version.
Okay,
cool.
So Caver, I wrote a few books. The first one being Caver and Cube Book 1, and it's half a short story, half guide to cavers as familiars. So imagine your party goes into a cave, not knowing that it's alive. And if they do the right triggers and prompts, they can activate it. It crawls out of the ground, and they can use it as both a mobile home and a medieval mech of sorts.
Sure.
You can customize the guts. You can build it out. The giant mini kickstarted, I don't know, 8-9 months ago. And these are on a pallet on a truck, and they should have been delivered last week. They're in the States, so they're coming soon.
Nice.
Great.
But definitely the biggest mini I've ever created. So it's massive.
It is big, yeah.
Here's the painted one. I'll tell you, this is the easiest mini to paint in the world, because you just sort of close your eyes and dry brush.
Well, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
What's the deal? Aren't there compartments or something on top?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can remove these caps, and then you can put a mini on top and ride this dude into battle.
Nice.
Or I also made mods. So there's a dragon and a snake that you can optionally buy, and they have stats and stuff too.
Nice.
So
So kind of like the cave familiar has familiars or something, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just carries around all your loot.
And then I've written a Mork Borg book for Caver, and that'll come out on Kickstarter, depending on the delivery of other stuff in a month or two. So
Nice.
Oh, and that's going to be a new Kickstarter?
Yep, that'll be the 31st.
Nice.
Awesome. Very good. Very cool.
Keep them rolling.
Oh, excited about that.
Thanks. Yeah, that Caver book is really wild. Without spoiling it, it's a funnel, and you get chased into a cave by one of 4 Goliaths that you have to roll for. And then if you activate the Caver properly, you can take revenge on the Goliath that's most of your party. So it's pretty rad.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, I happily backed the Caver Kickstarter. I can't wait to get that fig in my hands. It's awesome. Yeah, and it was good. It was good to see it at Origins on display and see just how massive it is. It is really big. The other thing that brought you on my radar, and this was the one I was excited to connect with you and talk about and hear some stories about. The Lost Tomb of Bitchin Chimera, the Dead Milkman RPG adventure.
Yep.
I need to know, because I'm one of those people that like grew up listening to the Dead Milkmen and loves Dungeons and Dragons and never would have dreamed in a million years that something like this would exist.
Me neither.
So tell us, please, what's the story of that journey?
It's a funny one. So I was at PAX Unplugged 3 years ago now, and I just on the periphery I knew this dude Andrew Irvin from the literature scene mostly. We have tons of like avant-garde writer friends in common, and he I guess the year previous he wanted to hook up and just play a game, and I was like, I'm running around the con busy with my friends, but let's chat. And then the next year he pulled me aside and he's like, dude, I have this really great project, and he described it, but it wasn't Bitchin Chimera, it was something else. And he's like, I'm running it with this other guy that I know that I really love. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know what, sight unseen, I trust you guys, let's publish this thing. So over the course of a few months, that project got just pushed aside a little bit. And then Andrew, the guy that approached me, he had created the bones of Bitchin Chimera, and during a Dead Milkman outdoor show at a cemetery, he ran the game for a bunch of friends, and they loved it.
Nice.
They're like, this is amazing. Like, you should do something with this. So he approached the band, and they said, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. Really, just go for it.
Awesome. And
at PAX Unplugged, months after PAX Unplugged, Andrew emailed me and pitched it, and I was like, whoa, it's not a project I would have like chased,
right?
But he brought it to me, and I could not say no. Sure. I mean, it was just so bizarre. And initially, he was like, how many were we going to sell? We're going to sell 50 or 50 million. And I was like, you know what? I literally have no idea. It's so niche. So
well,
clearly it did. Yeah, it did well.
I was right in the niche, man. This thing is so awesome. It's one of my prized possessions, without a doubt. I can't. So even like one of the reasons I knew my wife was the right person for me to marry was because she loves the Dead Milkmen too, and she's not a gamer, but even she was like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" And like, I think I could probably get a game going. Sure. With it. Yeah, you're right. It is so niche, but it's so special as a just a incredible. So, is there going to be another printing of it? Because it's out of print, right? Or
that's a great question. It's out of print. The writer and the band have copies left. I have a very small stack of books left.
Yeah.
I think it deserves a second printing. I would love to print a hardcover combining the book with the bestiary. And maybe like there's the dead cow map, which we only printed posters of. So I was trying to get the writer to create a scenario just for that map, and he didn't want to do it yet, but I think that's something we could include in a new edition.
Nice.
If you did a hardcover, you got a sale right here. I mean, with no problem. Like that's awesome.
It's a shame. I don't want to name drop, but like when we ran the Kickstarter, we had a few high profile execs at like Hasbro and Wizards, and they emailed the writer and they're like, hey, we want to help you make this bigger. So, and then COVID hit, and we were going to have this really big release party in Philly at PAX Unplugged, and Wizards was going to help us out with it. And it was just perfect. And then COVID squashed it all. So
unfortunately,
I'm thinking like if we ever did a second print with hardcover, that opportunity would be around again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that happens. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
I'm all into that. That sounds cool.
Can you imagine the band playing and like.
Yeah.
That was supposed to happen.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So good. So good.
That would be fun.
So you mentioned PAX Unplugged. How has your reception at conventions been?
Really strong. So like Origins was the first time I ever had a booth at
cool.
At a real game con. I did Baltimore Comic Con. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I did Comic Con in, I guess, 2019, right before COVID. And that was really fantastic. But we had a baby in the interim, like during COVID, and we've been like just super careful about all of that.
Sure.
So I've gone to cons, like I went to PAX Unplugged as an attendee recently, but I didn't get to table, unfortunately. But now I'm all in, so I can't wait to like get back into the swing. I'm ready to table for both Severed and Exalted at the same time. So.
Sure.
Cool.
Are you going to PAX Unplugged this year?
Yes,
nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't been to PAX Unplugged before, but being this close to Philly, that seems ridiculous, right? But
yes.
But
it's a great one.
Yeah, no, I'm going. I'm going to go this year.
It's going to be fun.
I had a great time at Origins, so and that was the one that everybody said. So then your next one, and they're perfectly timed with each other that you can kind of flip flop, and that can be your annual rotation. So no, I'll be going to my first PAX, I think, coming up. I have it on the calendar.
Nice.
Cool.
So you'll be tabling there?
That's the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah, and definitely with Exalted, part of my role is to represent them at conventions. So I think with the new IP launching, I don't think we have an option. I think we have to be there. I think it's a requirement at this point. So
what is your job at Exalted Funeral? Tell us a little bit about that.
So they hired me as a project manager and then product developer.
Okay.
And then I'm also doing some fulfillment stuff too, because they have a lot of projects that they ship out for indie creators.
Sure.
So I don't know. I guess they're all important roles. I love the product development.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most fun. They're going to run their free RPG summer sale on July 15th, I think. And this is the first time they let someone like really create tons of not just books, but like patches and stickers and all the fun tchotchkes, which I've gotten good at. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I like. As a DM or GM, I like all the ancillary stuff that I can give out. And
yes. Yeah.
You got to get the goodies.
Yeah.
That's.
I wish I could lift up. I have. Oh man, I have like all this merch down here that I could really show you, but Kristen would kill me if I showed it off too soon.
No, that's all right. So for those people that don't know, I'm sure most people who are listening to this or watching it are familiar. But what is Exalted Funeral?
Exalted Funeral is an indie RPG publisher and. Primarily a publisher. So they're responsible for all the OSE, Old School Essentials stuff, Ultraviolet, Grasslands by Luca.
I think Neon Lords too was on Exalted.
So they were distributing Neon Lords, right? Yeah.
Neon Lords is just distributing. So and they also distribute tons of stuff. So lots of exclusives, lots of Morkborg stuff, records, T-shirts. Now with me, more patches and stickers and stuff to slap on things.
Cool.
Trying to think of other stuff that they've done recently.
They had a killer Black Friday sale.
Yes.
I stocked up on a couple OSE player books that were like ridiculously cheap, like $11 or something for a hardcover.
Similarly, blah, 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 the July sale is about the same. Mystic Punks, they're responsible for.
Nice.
Cool.
Rad.
I just picked that up, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah, I love the artwork.
Yeah.
Really love the artwork. I'm really picky about art, so it does it for me.
Cool.
But yeah, Exalted, like, it's really a dream job for me. I worked for the government for 18 years, and in communications, which I'm supposed to be pretty good at, but I really grew out of it as far as my brain needing some creative stuff to do.
Yeah.
So working for Exalted is literally the first time in my life where I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
Nice.
Cool.
Both creating wild stuff and then also helping other people do the same. So
clearly you're doing something right.
To me.
And it gives you, it seems like the Exalted and your Severed Books, your company, right? There's a nice sort of synergy of you being able to kind of blend them together in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is part of the appeal. I love owning a small business, even more than I ever thought I would. And it's super empowering. And like creating IP is sort of a passion of mine. Like I really love creators that not just create an IP, but foster it and think about it and like serialization and really growing a specific IP, like Caver, like I'm thinking about Caver as a character, a real character in role-playing games, where like role-playing games oftentimes lack main characters.
Sure.
Right.
So I don't know where I was going with that, but owning a small business, the synergy between Exalted and Severed, that's definitely a part of the appeal, because I think if I'm going to work for another company, it has to be hopefully in tandem with the company that I am running as well, and they really respect that, and I love them for it. So
nice.
Matt and Kristen of Exalted have been like super supportive of what I do for a long time.
Well, Justin, you are an exciting creator on the scene right now, and it's been awesome to talk to you, and I'm so glad that I stumbled upon the massive gelatinous cube and then and happily snowballed into Lost Tomb of the Bitchin Chimera, and then Caver and everything that's to come.
This mimic bag that's happening now.
I can't wait.
I forgot to show them off. See, here we go.
Oh yeah, so that's the Kickstarter that's running right now, everybody. All right.
It's a pretty healthy dice bag. So.
Yeah, that's what we need. Throw away the Crown Royale bag. We need one of those.
Yeah. Who needs that? But yeah, we have a lot of upcoming stuff like this. The 3 new projects that we have are super exciting as well. So if anyone's interested, go to severedbooks.com, click on I think it's the news page, and you'll see all the wild stuff we have in store. So.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm going to be looking for that Caver Morkborg coming out soon, and then
we just talked about Morkborg.
And I'm gonna keep pestering you about a hardcover of Lost Tomb of the Bitchin Chimera. That's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, Justin, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, I appreciate this. It's fantastic.
It was an honor. Thank you, too.
Hopefully we can get 30 more Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a few years.
All right.
See you guys.
Okay. So it was fantastic to talk to Justin. I love doing interviews and talking with the figureheads in our industry. It's crazy to believe that this is their 30th Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's an insane amount. I backed the Mimic bag. I'm always in search of like a bigger, more fun dice bag to have at the table.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if you've backed anything that Justin or Severed Games Severed Books has ever done. Let us know in the comments down below. You can always email us at everyeditionrpg@gmail.com or check out our socials and let us know there at everyeditionrpg.com. It's time to loot the body. On today's Loot the Body, we are taking a look at Dark Places and Demogorgons by Bloat Games. We talked about Bloat Games a little earlier before. They seem to have like a pop culture IP thing, and this is their Stranger Things IP, and it's seems fantastic.
So none of them are official. They're all inspired by and really walk a pretty fine line.
This one says strange things.
Yep,
not stranger things.
In the 1980s, strange things happened everywhere. Dark Places and Demogorgons is an OSR style game. It's very reminiscent of the Basic and Expert, the BX rules of Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're playing old school Essentials, if you're playing Basic and Expert Dungeons and Dragons, Dark Places and Demogorgons will feel right at home with your OSR game. I had a chance to play Dark Places and Demogorgons at Origins 2022. It was a great game. I loved the fact that it was an OSR, Stranger Things inspired 1980s.
Yeah, it seems like every game that hits that niche or that nostalgia is always rules light.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm enjoying role playing in the 1980s.
Yep.
Whether it's Tales from the Loop, Things from the Flood is the 90s version, but you get what you get the gist. And Dark Places and Demogorgons, it seems like it's a great niche. I haven't tried Kids on Bikes.
Oh yeah,
which is another role-playing game that scratches that same itch. But I have played, like I said, Dark Places and Demogorgons from Bloat Games. I really like this. It's great. It uses the all the stats and skills that you're familiar with from Basic and Expert Dungeons and Dragons, the 6 core ability scores, but it also has a 7th.
Okay.
That's called Survival. And effectively, it kind of works like luck points. If you're familiar with Dungeon Crawl Classics or any game that has sort of a luck mechanic, there are more points that you can spend to re-roll. And you get 1 point back for completing any adventure. But that's the most you can get back is 1 point.
That's good.
For any one adventure. So if you spend a bunch of points, you actually decrease your survival point rating over time. And so you got to be careful about how you use your points and what you spend them on. So I like that survival mechanic, kind of like luck points, kind of like inspiration in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Gives you a little bit of spendy control over the dice. So that's fun. With any of these games, with any OSR game, the thing that I always find to be the clunkiest is skills.
Sure.
And so that's still true with this game. You kind of have to navigate the skills system, and it's really important that players are requesting to use skills rather than expecting DMs, I think, to extract skills, right? That's something we've talked about before on the channel, that to be a good player, offer up a suggestion to the game master and be like, hey, I'd like to use this skill.
Yeah.
One of the hacks that I've used when I play Dark Places and Demogorgons is since everybody's in middle school or high school, I have the kids, their characters have a favorite subject in school.
Sure.
And then that subject, whether it's math or science or history or English or literature or whatever, the arts, that then is a skill that's in the book. But I like having everybody pick a favorite subject, and it kind of grounds you in the idea of playing a student. And it gives you that sort of open-ended skill that, like, oh, you just happen to know this because your random history teacher mentioned it and you remember it right at the right time. Or, figuring out a puzzle for math, or having a scientific fact when you need it.
Sure.
I like that little hack. I think it's cool to be able to have all your characters have a favorite subject. So that's something that I do that's not explicitly in Dark Places and Demogorgons, but when I've run it, I have characters have a favorite subject. The other thing that I think is a little wonky about this, even though I love this game, I don't like the alignment system in it.
It has evil.
It has evil.
And you're a middle schooler or a high schooler.
Right. So that doesn't feel right to me. And the other thing too is I've seen it in the game that we played at the convention of it. The character who was supposed to be a quote unquote evil teenager just did some dumb, stupid things. Right. Again, I'm not a big fan of evil characters at the table unless you're all playing evil characters and then it's like an evil party.
Sure.
But if you have that one evil character, you know how it's going to end. The evil character is going to betray the party, is going to do something stupid. It's it's so predictable, right? So one of the easy fixes that I think for Dark Places and Demogorgons, just go with the old school alignment system of lawful, neutral, and chaotic. It makes a lot more sense that as middle schoolers or teenagers, you haven't really become evil or good.
Yeah.
But you might be leaning towards being a little bit chaotic or a little bit of a rules follower, right? So I love, just go back to the original, lawful, neutral, and chaotic. It's more in keeping with the origins of D&D anyway.
Yeah.
And it fits with playing teenagers and middle schoolers. So I like that fix to the game as well. Truly, though, one of the things I like about this game is I'm familiar with the game mechanics, so I can already sort of see what I can hack and fix, right? And it feels so comfortable and feels so right at home. I really do love this game because I like role-playing games in the 1980s, like Tales from the Loop, and like this. And so I would recommend this if Tales from the Loop isn't crunchy enough for you, if it's too rules light, if it's too focused on narrative and sort of story beats, and you want some more of that crunch, a little bit more of that stats and math, a little bit more of a classic Dungeons and Dragons feel, this is definitely the way to go.
Nice.
Highly recommend it. It was a great game in Origins 2022.
Well, thanks for watching. This has been a very awesome episode. We got to interview Justin from Severed Books, talking about his newest Kickstarter and where he's sort of come from. The Gelatinous Cubes are fantastic.
Absolutely.
I love those. We also got our very first sponsor back in the morale check, Fighter Guy Studios. If you want to be interviewed or showcase anything on our show, you could always drop us a line over at everyeditionrpg@gmail.com. Leave us a comment if there's anybody that you would want us to interview and talk to. I love interviewing people and seeing their experience, especially from figureheads in our industry and people that we, the content that we consume is put out by them. So it's fun to sort of pick their brain and see what they're doing.
Yeah, we're coming up on our 20th episode. That's going to be our next episode. And lots of good things in store. I've got lots of ideas for the show, lots more people to interview.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of surprises.
Lots of awesome stuff.
Thanks to all of you. We continue to grow and to enjoy what we're doing. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And come back for more.